Food for us, even in your country, is not a problem. Okay, prices will be higher. In my country, in Germany, if you're in the supermarket, for milk pay 50 cents, euro cents, or 60 euro cents. That makes, at the end, no difference. For the Americans, for the Europeans, it's no problem. But for people in Asia, or for people in Africa, or in Latin America, less available food is a problem. The problem has a name: hunger. But if the benefit of one side of this world is the hunger of the other side of this world, I think that's an immoral system. So my question was, to which extent we should have no rules on the international markets. Why we have to allow that everybody can speculate with whatever, wherever in the world. We allowed such a speculation. The result is no. We allowed also the speculation on real estate. In this country, a well-known problem. In Ireland, a well-known problem. Banks went all over and told to people, we give you every credit. And they needed to loan out the credits because with the amount of the credits given out, they speculated on the international markets. The result, not necessary, I think, to explain to you, is very known. A lot of people made a lot of money, but the overwhelming majority of other people pays today the price for such benefits. By losing their houses, by losing their jobs, by losing their apartments, by becoming poor. In the meantime, some, not so much, people became super rich. That's not the balance we need. Therefore, to introduce rules, to introduce regulations, and to introduce elements to survey and to observe markets is one of, in my eyes, necessary answers to the challenges in the second decade of the 21st century. That's one of our programs in the European Parliament. We want more rules on the markets. We want more control of the so-called financial products offered on the markets. That's one of the answers. On a concrete, existing, real economic crisis in Europe. The second answer is the world is changing enormously. When I was 20 years old, 1975, countries like South Africa, Brazil, Mexico, India, China were countries of the so-called Third World. Countries to which my country, Germany, gave development aid. India, China, Brazil, South Africa are so-called emerging states. I find it is an unappropriated term. These are leading superpowers in the world. Germany has 82 million inhabitants. Luxembourg has 400,000 inhabitants. The Prime Minister of Luxembourg, Jean-Claude Juncker, is used to joke by saying, seen from Luxembourg, Germany has the size Germany has seen from China. But how is the relation between Luxembourg and China? Luxembourg, says Juncker, has the size of a Christmas gift of Hu Jintao to his Prime Minister. cannot survive, Germany, Latvia, Italy, Portugal, Sweden, Spain, Lithuania or Estonia, and all three Baltic states together with Finland and the whole Baltic Sea Council together cannot survive alone. We can only survive in a worldwide economic, financial, environmental, industrial, cultural challenge or competition by building the European Union with 500 million inhabitants. 500 million inhabitants in 27 member states of the European Union in relation to 1.3 billion inhabitants in China. 1.1 in India. Only India and China together is a third of the world's population. In relation to that, even 500 million Europeans is not so much. So the future of the European nations is not to give up our nationality. No, nobody will transform a German to an Italian, or a Latvian to an Estonian. No, we must not give up our identity. We must not give up our nationality. But we must combine our capacities between the 27 member states of the European Union to a union of sovereign states which in the worldwide relation acts together. Or Europe will become irrelevant. It was for the first time it arose for a lot of people as a concrete element of risk in Copenhagen when the international community, under the leadership of the United Nations, discussed about climate change. Because the Europeans were unable to come to a common position. What a disaster, by the way. Denmark hosted it. Sweden led the European presidency. Germany, France, and Italy, Spain, and all the other countries had no common position. And at the end, it was a bilateral meeting between Hu Jintao and Barack Obama, which led not to a conclusion, but these two men decided. They decided that it was a failure. But it was not Europe playing a role. It was the United States and China. And I don't want to come back, and my colleagues in the European Parliament as well, we Social Democrats, to another kind of bipolarism in the world. We had it during 40 years. Soviet Union on one hand, and the United States on the other hand. All the risks, all this reduction of democracy, all these increasing risks of war. I remember it very well. A lot of the older friends here in the room remember it also very well. I don't want to come back to a bipolar world between China and the United States. Between the ideology of uncontrolled, irregulated market on one hand, and the permanent violation of individual fundamental